we are back for another one of our 12 days of Cruxmas talks, and enjoying a little bit of time out on the patio, underneath the vines, enjoying the sunshine, and I'm here with Sasha and Liam.
The dappled light falls upon the table.
If this was a story podcast, that would be appropriate language. And
the pigeon in the corner.
Yeah, we have a pigeon just hanging about, but it's good.
He's itchy.
No, I am. Yeah, I appreciate you taking the time to have a little bit of a chat about fellowship and your experience with that. And just being able to share a little bit more, I think, about that with the rest of the community, right?
Yeah.
If I remember right, Sasha, when you gave your talk, you shared briefly about it for people who may be interested. But yeah, I think this is just, at least to me, a wonderful opportunity to hear from both of you about what that experience was like and a little more about it in general for people.
Yeah, what was it?
So yeah, but anyhow, before we get to that, maybe I'll just give each of you an opportunity just to share a little bit about yourself, introduce yourself to all of our dear listeners on the other end.
Thanks, Tyler, for having us and giving space to these conversations. I'm really excited to hear the other interviews as well. I am Sash. I am an artist, and my trade is graphic design and vector illustration at the moment. I think we were always fluctuating between the different applications of creativity, and that is that.
Yeah.
Me, yeah. I moved to the Winelands about 1.5 years ago, and I've known Crux for probably 5-6 years, and it was just an incredible opportunity to join the community a lot more intentionally and be part of the more regular community rather than the artist gatherings and sporadic events. And then I met the love of my life here as well, about 6-7 months ago. And that's Liam.
Hi.
Tell us about yourself, Liam.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Liam. I'm sort of a craftsman, making things and doing things as people request and require.
Sounds like lots of things involved.
There's many things. That's what our trade secrets are. Is what the things are. It's actually quite simple, but that's what we keep them secret. I started hanging out in Stellenbosch and the Christian community side of it about 1 year ago. When I met the love of my life, that same
Jesus.
day. She invited me to come see her talk at Crux, and that's how I was exposed to it. And it's been just really incredible being around that community ever since. It's been really incredible seeing the dedication for things that matter without profit incentive, especially. It's just people. Crux is really people who really care, and just all of the orbiting around all of the things that happens around here has been just really great. Really great.
And I know for myself, got to know you a little bit better at a little gathering with Alistair and Robin. We made sushi, right?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Glad that you got connected through Sasha, in a sense. And you, initially, it was Artist Gathering. That was the sort of first point of connection.
2017 or 2018.
Okay.
I can't remember which one.
No.
But yeah, we were in Franschhoek don't know if it's yeah, I can't remember the name of the place, but I'm sure those who were there would remember the venue.
Yeah.
Somewhere in Sancho.
Yeah.
At a ministry base or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. So, moving from getting connected to Crux to fellowship, maybe for anyone who wasn't around or didn't hear like the introduction about it, just what is or what was is. I'm sure maybe we'll talk a little bit about that. What tense we should be using, but so what is it?
Yeah, I've now started calling it the Arts Fellowship because there's a few fellowships going around, so it's just easier to explain that it's the Arts Fellowship. The format that had happened this year was basically a set of sessions every second week for a period of about, I think it was 3 to 4 months. It was 7 sessions in total. And it was a space that I wanted to create for artists of any medium, to encourage them and to facilitate their art practices, for them to grow, and especially to investigate the relationship between their making and their maker, to spend time with others who are doing the same thing, but just in different formats.
And I'll ask you one more question about about the start of it, and then I'm keen to hear a little from both of you about the experience on an ongoing basis as you were meeting. But so why, right? So what compelled you to sort of decide, like, I really want to try this out and give this a shot?
I think it happened over a while. I think that I have always really enjoyed being in spaces that I get to create with other people and seeing other people create. And I think a lot of my journey has been my own struggle with between making and maker, or the maker being God, and how do I find a bridge between those two, because the two worlds were very separate for a long time. And I think that this has just been an incredible step of obedience and witnessing God's work, when I get to step aside from myself. But I started with a really strong desire last year, probably November, December. I was thinking about Lent and the idea of what can I do to host a space or create a space where we all, like, whoever wants to get involved, go through Lent and the stages of the cross together by creating and responding. And that, I felt like there was a few closed doors when I was talking to people about that, and then doors suddenly opened during Lent, with Tony, Reverend of Stellenbosch United, which is where I go to church, and Stellenbosch United
Church. Yeah.
And also James, JB, we had a talk about community development and what could that look like. And I shared with him my heart of wanting to create a space where people can investigate this process together. And so it kind of morphed a little bit, but I think that it was exactly what it needed to be. And so timeline-wise, it was a real struggle for me to figure out when it was going to happen and how, and because all those factors influence who can partake in it. And so I just ended up being like, cool, I have to set the dates, and those who are able to make it, those are the people who God wants in those times. And yeah, so it came from just a very strong desire to see artists in community working together, and sharing, like cross-pollinating their different understandings of their practices and crafts. Yeah. Was there anything else?
And I was going to say, Liam, other than, right, I mean, obviously, knowing Sasha, there's going to be a degree of interest in, like, what's going on. But, like, what compelled you to say, like, yeah, I want to commit myself to being involved, and sort of what was it like, just, showing up, and what was going on when you'd gather?
For me personally, I've never really spent much effort into sort of creativity for art's sake. I've always been making things, but mostly from a purely practical perspective, and I've often enjoyed embellishing things. But art for art's sake was always a very different world to me. It felt like a different kind of culture. But I knew that if I actually want to get better, or I knew I did want to get better, and a greater understanding of art, because I've always appreciated art, but the making of it and those who make it have always seemed so mysterious and other. So there was immediately just a draw there of, well, okay, this is. I didn't initially feel like I fit the maybe the target audience. So I wanted to go investigate, and then realized that no, this is actually awesome. Not only is there great space for just learning in any definition of creation and creating, but there's also just such like-minded, sensitive people. The people who came there on that first day to check it out, who I think were majority of the people who ended up actually going through with it, bar one.
Who wanted to be a part of it just couldn't.
The dates, times.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jono.
It was just immediately just so engaging with, like, oh, the community that has come sort this out is also so enriching. So to answer your question, curiosity and then a comfort in the actual space.
Yeah, we had a meeting where I just basically sent out word on the Crux group, and I think to some other community groups, that I was going to host a information session about what I wanted to do, it was a lovely conversation of, like, this is my heart. What do you guys think? Is this something you see a need for? Do you know people who want this kind of space? I've been given the space at the physical space at the church to use, which is a huge gift, because usually a venue is quite like a very tricky, costly situation. So as Liam said, like, a lot of the people who came to that session attended the event. Actually, there's two people who weren't able to make. Yeah.
And what was sort of the shape of, like, when you gathered? Was it you just show up and do what you want to do, or did you have a sort of plan or sort of a rhythm to it?
So the sessions, I like to know what's going to happen, so that I'm slightly less anxious about it. So I made a framework. I've done workshops before with people, but I haven't done I've done lecturing as well, but that was with someone else's content as well. So I basically developed a program that takes you through different phases, because I was trying to figure out, okay, how do we incorporate multiple mediums, and not just ask people to, like, collaborate with each other's mediums, but be sensitive to the personal journey that these people might go through. And so I went through basically stages, 4 phases, and it was just easier to sort it out that way, where The first phase was very explorative in terms of what is creativity, where do we find purpose in creativity, where does it meet with our faith, and how does that look in our lives, what do our own practices look like. And then we went into sort of funneling it into, can we find a common theme to work around? So same theme, different mediums, different directions with that theme. And that was also over 4 weeks. And that was, so the first phase was everyone talking to each other and exploring it together. Second phase, I wanted everyone to kind of go a little bit more personal with that, and then come together for that theme to bring out, okay, what has everyone heard and felt about creating between faith and your mediums. And then the third phase was exploring medium in response to that theme. And then the fourth phase was just sort of finalizing or kind of taking it one step further to wherever you'd got to. Yeah.
And Liam, so what medium were you working in, and what were some of the different types of mediums people were working in?
For the majority of it, I worked in ideas.
No, that's good. Yeah.
But that was what was so beneficial about us actually meeting and setting time apart and aside for discussing these things, was that all of the artists could just come and dedicate, not only dedicate time to the cooking up of the ideas, but also be so supported and be in such a secure space among the other creatives also working on their own similar but different creative challenges, that it provided a very fertile ground, I believe, for the growth of ideas and for things to come forward and up out of it. What was really amazing with that concept, the conceptual side of things, I think that Sash will speak more on how she structured things with how she prompted us, but the prompts gave forth very similar ideas and themes from the from those attending, and it was some very beautiful moments, really, when those would come forward and we'd see connecting parts in what everyone was responding to the prompts. It was a very unifying little thing. But when I finally stepped out of the stage of concept, I settled on steelwork, and I wanted to make some sort of steel sculpture, which I did then eventually get to, a little bit last minute, with an Irish high cross.
Okay.
It was the final product.
Yeah. So I don't know if, maybe if there's a story, like one story each that of just your times together. Maybe it's something that happened in community because of a prompt, or just something about someone's work and what was going on. But just to give you a space to, if you have a story or something you'd like to share. Before I have one other question from my side, but I just wanted to give that space.
Do you have something? I'm trying to figure out.
I was going to say, this is where I put the parenthetical, like, everyone looks at each other.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm just trying to like locate the specifics.
Sure.
Well, I kind of want to talk just on the structure of it some more, and how that actually was experiencing it. Because we'd meet up in the hall, we'd meet downstairs, maybe pull some of the chairs out. If Sasha and I weren't late, we'd have a kettle boiled already and have some snacks out. And yeah, there was this sort of soft launch. There was this sort of smooth introduction every time for us all to just greet, sort of depressurize, talk about how the week's been, talk about that the often the useless water cooler talk, which is just so useful for just human connection, which is just so, though nothing needs to be said, or maybe many times nothing is actually said in the saying, in the just speaking to another person. I think it's a little bit like a setting the frequency, setting the tone and the theme for the day, for the session that's about to go forward. So there was always that. We then go upstairs.
Bit of fellowship,
Yeah, that was the community side of it was very fundamental and successful.
Yeah.
We'd usually go upstairs then. There'd be some days there'd be some prompts, some days there'd be
journal, like writing
there was
journal prompts.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there were a number of just specific I want to say exercises, but it's not exercises. It was
Practices?
activities.
Yep.
There were a number of special activities that also just really allowed for what the themes of that space needed to be, and speaking on kind of behalf of creativity, and exploring creativity can be an incredibly vulnerable sort of thing. So there is a sort of guardedness that comes to bringing your sensitivity out. In general, not even to mention in sight of other people, and so that sort of leading from a critical figure, that the position that Sasha was in, was instrumental. It was so needed to actually have that structure, and to have someone pulling on the little threads of each individual person, because it's kind of the case of everyone wanted to give forth their tapestry, but they just suffered from a little bit, inertia, getting the ball rolling, and every time it was so gentle and appreciated, because when it would then get rolling as the session would go on, it was very often that every time it was a surprise that it was time to go home. Every time it was a surprise of, okay, well, we didn't get to everything, but we'll do next time. It was never the case of,
how do we fill the time?
Yes, exactly. So they were very rich Saturday afternoons.
Yeah, I think something I learned about this space, or facilitating the space, was how sensitive it requires me to be, because of what you are asking of others. Like, if you're going to ask someone to actually go a layer deep into their relationship with God or their creativity. I think creativity can be such a intimate and sometimes fragile experience. I'm incredibly passionate about enabling others in their creativity because of just what can happen with that and how God can use that. And so I had initially wanted to, everyone creates work and then we share it with the public or with our communities. And I very quickly realized that this is a lot more intimate than what I had anticipated. I had no idea what was actually going to happen, but this very strong idea of God is in control of the outcome.
Yeah.
So just participate and do your best in the participation, and then let God actually be in control of the outcomes, which is very hard. But I got to do that with the participants, and so I think in each individual I was able to see some change in the way they related to their creativity. Sometimes there were only glimpses of the freedom to create, and when it did happen, it was very powerful. I could see that those moments teach us a lot, and taught every individual they're capable of that, experiencing that freedom. To not determine what they need to make, but to actually create and let it become something that they interact with. Because I think God can, and specifically the Holy Spirit, we were talking about this act of co-creating, of partnering with God and the Holy Spirit to create something. So if we're in control of every aspect of it, how does the Holy Spirit influence it? We can be masters of our techniques, but I think there is an aspect where colors come out, or texture, or those kind of things that can actually be a co-creating experience. And so I was trying to discover with the participants what that looks like, and it was really interesting to see how that came through, and also just like how each person responded to prompts and the theme, which was co-creating and partnering.
Yeah.
It was incredibly diverse and personal, and I was scared that I wasn't going to be able to speak into any of the artworks, because I'm not an expert in oil painting or steel work, but it wasn't the techniques were up to that artist. The process work is what we were sort of workshopping, and there was new bodies of work coming out from a few of the participants who were struggling with where do they go in their art, which was incredibly life-giving, and just kind of opening up to new possibilities and ways of experiencing making.
You touched on a really important thing there. The technique was not what was a focus or an emphasis or a component at all. It was really the soul of what's going into what everyone's doing. It was really the
posture.
It was the spirit behind what's being done and the authenticity of that.
I think one of the things that I hear, and I think is really important, and not just for something like this, but even more broadly thinking about, from my side, thinking about the church, is how it seems that much of what was going on was what is important is your participation, and that the art, or maybe we'd say what was created, was the fruit of the participation. But participating was the intention. Like
Yeah.
that was sort of the
Yeah.
focus, right? The participation. Whether or not that produced, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, but that, and I think why I think this is really important for the church is, you know, I think oftentimes people have this mindset of, oh, I want to come and I'm going to get something, or that churches can be structured in ways that you don't actually participate. You just
attend.
you attend, you receive, and that's not entirely. I'm not making a negative statement necessarily, but it isn't necessarily always the case that in a church setting there is a focus on participation. But the fact that the Christian life emphasizes this engagement with God, this sort of participatory sort of
An active
posture,
pursuit, yeah.
and that we see the fruit come out in our lives as a result of participation, right, with God, with the community in Christ. So even just hearing from the two of you and a bit about what fellowship looked like, to me that's something I'm taking away from it without, you know, having participated in it.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, this is sort of where I was wanting to land, was what is something that you took away from it? Like, after it's all said and done, you know, you went through this process, it was the first, you know, first go, maybe not the last one, or maybe it's like, nope, we're not doing this again. But like, yeah, what is something you're taking away from it? Whether it's about your relationship with God, something you learned about yourself, or how you view art, your own work.
I think you hit the nail on the head about participation. Participation was the most striking thing coming out of this for me as well. Because, like I said in the start, I didn't at all feel like this was my kind of space. I didn't think that this was aimed at me, and so the thing of actually just going anyways, showing up anyways, and showing up then again and again, and it moving forward, and it having an effect and having an impact when didn't know what it was for, or I didn't know what I needed, and I do feel that I got something out of it that I needed. It was that was a great gift, and it is very inspiring to do further things that might not initially seem obvious, but and just to be more open to what value is out there and the things you don't expect.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I think for me as well, it was just participating and being obedient, and not being in control of the outcome. I think was a very good challenge for me, and that fear of, but you know, if I don't determine everything that's going to happen, then how am I going to know that I've given something of value? And it is so much more about holding space for people and creating that space, and realizing that people want that space and need it. I think that was a big thing for me, and the work I'm called to do and to be encouraged in it was huge. And it was just, it was such a joy to have people from a bunch of different communities all coming together, and just how there is and will be common ground found. That given the space and time, people, if they are looking towards the same goals and desires of serving God and seeking Him, that they will find a way to encourage each other, and that gave me a lot of hope, to see people supporting each other, and just it was incredibly edifying, the amount of like information shared and the cross-pollination that did happen. You know, you have people who are really good at what they do, and we get to share that openly and easily without there being paywalls or egos or
even expectation.
Expectations. Yeah, I think we all learned something about expectations. Yeah,
Yes.
that we can let them go and it's still gonna be okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, what did personally blow my expectations was getting to see the sort of depth of emotion of the people. It was getting to be let in to that vulnerability and that inside creative force and itch and urge, and getting to see what that looks like among others. That was really, really special. That is something that will be a big takeaway.
Yeah.
Even in the face of like experiencing God differently.
Yes,
You know, it's
yes,
not
very
everyone
much.
doesn't share the same theology or like similar theology, sure, but there were differences, and for us, everyone's holding the space with respect and honoring each other. So it was easy to have those differences.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you taking some time and just sharing a bit more about that experience. And I have no doubts that it was very meaningful for everyone involved. And now looking to next year, any thoughts? Are you thinking, and not necessarily even has to be the same thing, but does 2026 hold maybe a space for something like this again, or something different maybe, or
I
it's on hold?
don't know what it looks like.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be on hold. I think that those spaces are necessary. I don't know if it will be the same format. I definitely want to host more spaces. I don't know if they'll take the space of like a workshop or like a once-off day situation with, or if it will be like a program over a few sessions. But I definitely want to continue that work. I mean, I feel like it's only, obedience that gets me there. I definitely took a break because I don't have a specific desire for something, and I think that I've learned to wait and listen for that. But yeah, I definitely want more to happen, and I know the participants would also like to continue engaging from a community aspect of getting to meet up again and continue cross-pollinating.
Yeah, cool. Well, again, thank you, and I think there's plenty there for further conversation and hopefully some reflection for people as they think about. I know for many of them in the arts, think about what it is they're doing and why, and maybe for some of us who aren't as engaged in an active sort of way with the arts, thinking about how we relate. Maybe it sparks a bit of that curiosity and things like that. So yeah. But again, I just appreciate your time. So thanks a lot.
Thank you.
And I'd just like to give a shout out and a thank you to Simone and Ray and Paul and Beatrix and Yael and Sasha, because without the people there, it wouldn't have been what it was.
Yeah. Thanks again.
Bye.